So Max Verstappen took an incredible pole position in front of his home crowd in the Dutch Grand Prix qualifying session this afternoon. An amazing lap from the reigning world champion, 200ths quicker than Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton line up on the second row with Perez and Russell behind them. I'm going to go over some telemetry traces I made on Max and Charles's fastest laps in Q3, as well as looking at Hamilton's performance against both Verstappen and also his teammate George Russell. On screen now is a data trace of Max and Charles's fastest laps in Q3. I made this myself using Python and the Fast F1 API, and as we can see, it's very, very close between them. Charles narrowly being fast in the corners, Max being fast on the straights. This implies that the Red Bull is very aero efficient, even on the high downforce package. We can see Max gaining time on the straights at the end of the lap. In fact, he actually got pole on the final straight. He gained about a tenth of a second on Charles on the back straight and got pole position there. The data trace you see, the live delta, is shifted by 0.2 of a second. So there's nothing I could do about that, just an error on the Python API. But the actual shape of the graph and where each driver is gaining and losing time is correct. Highlighted here, we can see Leclerc has higher minimum speeds and is much later on the brakes in the slow speed corners, implying Ferrari's working very well on the high downforce. Leclerc's confident in the car to roll the speed in and be confident on the brakes, and that should be useful going into tomorrow's race. However, he did throw pole away, you could argue, in Sector 2. A small mistake at the end of Sector 2 in the twisty section. He lost around 0.2 of a second to Max and his own personal best, Sector 2. So you could argue Max just did a better job on the day and there's more pace in that Ferrari. Could Hamilton have been in the mix for pole position? Well, when you look at Sector 1 and Sector 2 on the live TV feed, he's about 0.134 seconds off Max's pole time. However, Hamilton did continue into Sector 3, did do a few corners. So here's a data trace I extracted from F1 Tempo online. We can see after completing the chicane in Sector 3, Hamilton's only 0.06 of a second behind Max on that back straight before he lifted off. So he could have been on the front row potentially. Remains to be seen. Well, it was a great effort from Hamilton himself. He was around 2.5 tenths up on George Russell on the same lap. He seemed to be 2-3 tenths quicker than George all day, and that's been a bit of a trend since Canada when Merck fixed their bouncing issues. So Hamilton is back to his best, it seems. He's got some consistency, his raw pace is back to its best, and let's see what he can do tomorrow. He could potentially fight for the win. I very much look forward to seeing a Lewis back at the front of the grid. So to summarise, Leclerc's mistake did potentially cost him pole position. I don't think he'll be too worried though. The Ferrari showed some immense raw pace, much more competitive than Spa and in line with what we saw in Hungary, France and Silverstone. So definitely something to watch out for tomorrow. Obviously Hamilton was on fire today. He had the measure of teammate Russell and could potentially have been on pole position himself. If not, definitely fighting for the top 3. And in the midfield, shout outs to Lando, Yuki, Lance, who was unlucky in Q3, as well as Mick Schumacher, all did amazing jobs today. And let's see if they can convert their qualifying pace into some solid points. That's it for this data analysis in the Dutch Grand Prix qualifying. Should be an incredible, exciting race tomorrow. Can Max bring it home in front of his home crowd? Can Leclerc bounce back after a difficult Spa? Or can Hamilton fight for his first win of the season? That remains to be seen. I'll catch you all after the race, I'm sure, tomorrow. And until the next one, take care.